Hello once again. Welcome back to a haphazard recording, or welcome for the first time. I'm your host, Lance Renard, and usually with haphazard recordings, I like to get into some of the comments and look at what some of my subscribers have to say about some of the things that we've been covering. And so I'm just going to go ahead and open up my page here and pop into comments. If there are any recent ones, they're going to show up immediately. And that's great that my subscribers fluctuate by tens every day. The Art of War, Divide and Conquer. Thank you, Basketball XX1. I appreciate your comments, and yes, we have to deal with these details. Isn't it Bo Diddley, the one who sang, must have been the right road? I'll have to check into that there, Bear Morning Sun. I'll definitely check into the Bo Diddley song list and see if he's the one that put that one out. And didn't the early Romans or Egyptians have formed concrete and made it with seashells, which is high in silica? Yes, that's quite true. And the Giza Pyramid made mention of it. Thank you for that comment, B Cubed. I really like the consideration that people put into the details. I think it's important. R. Fortle commented, finally someone's making sense. Hidden wax way is the method to do it. And yes, I actually had a few extra parts that I would like to bring up in mentioning some of the techniques, and also with the sneaky Phoenicians. I produced lots of stone, cut and made, and seen lots of these poured. And this is quite interesting because DN also makes comment about a simple scratch test with the glass wheel to test the cast. And so thank you, DN, for your astute comments. I should look into that and possibly add that into another video. And George Abdulonar commented, I appreciate your presentation. Thank you for the appreciation, and do what I can. Of course, White Tiger is always a fantastic commenteur. It comes up with some great stuff. He spent some time in the Navy. And yeah, while I was in the Navy submarines force, I made figurines from bees, and obviously used to fill, I think he was to fill the torpedo. Let me just see here real quick. Wax casting is fill in the section spaces and the screw holes on the torpedoes to prevent drag. Yeah, I have a couple of block coverings of wax. So that's fantastic. I'll make up something tomorrow, thanks. A couple of inspiration you gave me tonight. That's what I'm here for, is to give you inspiration, to get some ideas, and use those ideas to create fun, fascinating, and informative informational videos. And so I'm going to be going through a lot of these comments with each video, and I don't want to spend too much time, but you all give such great comments, and even when I get controversial comments, I can really appreciate that. And so I wanted to run through that real quick, and now we'll get back into our Enigma. Alright, so now when we talk about the Enigma machine, we're going to want to take a look into some of the history of the Enigma machine. And the Enigma machines are a series of electromechanical rotor cipher machines. Rotor cipher. Yeah, and they go through all the fundamental details. My only curiosity is at the point in which it was invented in the first place, around December 1932. Marian Rejewski was a Polish mathematician and cryptologist who reconstructed the Nazi German military Enigma cipher machine, sight unseen. Oh, never saw it. Just figured it out. Good job. Good job, Marion, for figuring that stuff out. Let's get down to when it was invented. So it was invented prior to 1932. Early models were used commercially in the early 20s. And so these things were nothing new. They didn't just find out about it prior to the war. It was around for 10, 15 years. Or 20 prior to World War II. They go through all of these details in how it's put together, and the hodgepodge and huff and fluff and all the overly technical information that you really don't need. Just looking for when it was invented and when they found it. And so procedural flaws, operator mistake, finally systematically, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and they throw in just a mind-boggling bunch of crap information. The name came from here, the design came from there. This is how it works, electrical circuitry, and had a little light in it. Okay, that's nice. It had a lamp. Aw, isn't that pretty? I'm glad you let me know all these extremely specific and overly specific, as a matter of fact, details. I didn't need to know all of this. I'm just looking for the fundamental details when it was, created, and who created it, and when it, it's like, okay, this was nothing new. This Enigma machine was nothing new at all. And to use this as an excuse is, this is how we knew all of the details ahead of time, was because of this machine right here, see? And that's how we knew. So, right, during World War II, Second World War was a global war. Global war that lasted from 39 to 45. The vast majority of the world's countries, including the great powers, eventually formed two opposing military alliances, the Allies and the Axis. A state of total war emerged, and So, still looking for. Oh, that's nice. This is how this description is right here. It's a big bunch of spaghetti. And the German military models, yada yada woof woof. They were so special. They were so different. My ass. They're just making up reasons to say this is how we knew what was happening ahead of time, and that's just the name of that game. And I ain't falling for it at all. I don't know if you've ever done a cryptoquip before, but cryptoquips will set you straight in deciphering codes all by yourself with just a real simplistic nature. You don't need this. And this is where all computers began, right here. So I thought it was an interesting essay, and I'm going to continue on with some of these details on years and specifics, and kind of go over a lot of this huff and fluff that we don't need to see. And taking a quick look at when the Enigma machine was found or captured by the Allies was May 9th in 1941. Here we have the information on the Royal Navy captured German U-boat U-110 on May 4th in 1941. And it seems that the war went on for quite some time, where they had knowledge. So all of the attacks after 1941, apparently, they had to take it to Bletchley Park and figure it out. And through 41, the Brits were able to plot the positions, the U-boat patrol lines throughout 41. U-boat patrol lines, and that's all, I suppose. Just the U-boats. Nothing to do with any of the other orders that were received or sent. So just the U-boats. Okay, gotcha. That's important to know those specific and accurate details. And so following that timeline and information of timeline in mind with the war, what happened during 1942, a year after the machine was found? After a successful advance in summer of 1942, the battle for the city of Stalingrad in late 1942 proved a turning point. After this defeat, German troops were forced to the defensive, beginning the long retreat westward, which was to end in Nazi Germany's surrender in May of 45, some 3 years later. And during that 3-year period, what kind of carnage was caused and occurred? Not good. Not good at all. And so, right, it's the point and the information that I'm getting through across that they knew. And they were all working together just to slaughter a bunch of people, to take over their lands, to give propaganda against. And that's my take on the details after 1941, after they had the Enigma machine. And let's take a look into the Turing details and see what the narrative is on that, and how none of this could have possibly been avoided. I think it was a land clearing project personally, and a people clearing project, but then that's just me and my take on it. And why would you be able to know about this type of thing? And just go ahead and let it happen. So I'm going to continue on with what's Turing's story in the timeline that we're looking at here. So go ahead and do that. Okay, now we have Alan Turing and the information concerning Mr. Alan Turing, a gentlemanly looking fellow. During the Second World War, Turing worked with the government code cipher school. Yeah, we've all seen that up Bletchley Park. And yeah, nice place. Code Breaking Center and the Ultra Intelligence for etching, blah blah blah, and decoding ciphers, turning plate of pivotal, cracking the messages, enable the Allied Battle of Atlantic, including crucial engagements, defeat the Nazis. Right. Okay. And in more than 2 years, what? The upper end had been estimated that his work shortened the war in Europe by more than 2 years and saved over blah blah 14 million lives. Thank you, Alan, for inventing the computer and inventing the internet and saving all those lives. It's wonderful, and thank you so much. Even though they had found it 4 years prior and knew the information, they didn't want to. I'm trying to find the year in which he, discovered the cryptology, or actually invented our computers. And so I'm going to keep digging into that. Between 45 and 47, Turing lived in Hampton, London, while he worked on the design of ACE, automatic computing engine. And this is the invention of the internet information, apparently. And we all idolize and honor Mr. Turing. And I'm still trying to find. He presented a paper in 1946, which had detailed the first designed stored programmed computer. Yada yada woof woof. What year did he figure out the Enigma detail? Is what I'm looking for. October 1950, Turing possessed problem of artificial intelligence, proposed an experiment, became Turing test. An example to define the standard for a machine called intelligent. The idea was that a computer could said to think of a human interrogator, and blah blah blah. And so it goes through a whole lot of detail about. Once again, he tried to implement it on friend, but lacking the power, and yada yada, ran flipping and played reasonable chess. And good for you. Pattern formation and mathematical biology. Good. Yeah, that's great. Once again, looking for conviction for indecency. Well, that's really important. Thanks for adding that. It's important. When he died. So once again, government apology and pardon, yada yada woof woof. And when did he figure it out is what I'm going for, the date he figured it out. So I'm going to continue to hunt through this. I'm going to cut this off so you don't have to go through all this. Be right back. And one thing I should not neglect or should not look over is dun 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 dun. No singing. The cause of death. Suicide, you say. Cyanide poisoning, you say. Curious indeed. Yeah, Mr. Turing, he was, they give him this persona grata, and, yeah, and then they go, yeah, he had enough balls and hated his life enough just to kill himself because of all the drugs he was on and the abuse he was taking from the, yeah, right, I think he was snubbed. And he was their patsy for this information. And right, a lot of it happened. You always got to mix the truth with the lies, but I wanted to get into the cause of death for poor Mr. Turing and the curiosity of why they have a 16-year-old photograph, or when he was 16 years old in 1912. 1928, there's a photograph of Mr. Turing prior to his inventing one of the most amazing machines that ever existed on and the Enigma machine, and the massive amount of technology and wires and metal and composition to put this together in such a form that it is absolutely convincing. Yeah, maybe it is, and maybe I just doubt the historical narrative because of all the lies we've been given. It's just me. Okay, frankly, I could not find the information in that particular volume area of spaghetti, but this is right there, how he cracked the Enigma code. Looking at who he was, once again going to the extreme. It's not. So from mid-1940, German Air Force signals were being read at Bletchley. From mid-1940, they were being read at Bletchley Park. Turing also worked to decrypt the more complex German naval communications that had defeated many others at Bletchley. Okay, defeated many others at Bletchley. So you have to figure that out to determine that a bunch of people worked on these codes. And what? Okay, well, anyway, German U-boats were inflicted heavy losses, and the Allies, and understanding, and blah, 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 were able to read messages from 1941. He headed to Hut 8 team, which carried the cryptanalysis of all them during a period of 42 when the code became unreadable. Allied convoys could be directed from U-boat and right. The Universal Turing machine in 1936 invented a hypothetical computing and blah 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 blah. And the timelines are really hodgepodged around here, gang. 39 to 41. It's a 3-year period that is being played with, and yeah. So I was just basically just trying to see when he had figured it out and when they knew what the codes were, and then how many attacks happened after they had figured out the codes. And this is quite a decipherance. This is like doing a cryptoquip just for me to do. It's crazy, but this is part of the learning process, and digging through the weeds to find out where the realities actually lie. And when this led to wiping out a people, I started downloading images of World War II maps and the focus and concentration on the areas that were, and anyone who's looked into World War II knows, but what I'm talking about with the areas that I'm dealing with here. But in each and every one of these maps, I noticed that the details always stop right here, and that wasn't the case in the overall territory of who was really persecuted and damaged. My father was a sniper in World War II, and he also commented to me that on the way back, the Russians were persecuting the same people, doing the same things that were happening to them when the Germans were in there doing their atrocious details. And so why would both sides come against one? Here's one. This map right here shows the area of assault. I found one map in all of these maps that actually shows the area of assault during World War II, and none that show the area on the way back of assault. It's talked about in different documentaries. So anyway, I wanted to bring that up as a final detail in this curious essay. And so starting out with the Enigma machine and running our way through a little bit of the historical curiosities, you might say. The actual reasoning behind the war itself, in my opinion, it was to wipe out all remnants and of a civilization, remnants and people of a civilization of Tartary. And that was the objective, guiding their way through the New World Order in all their slick little ways. Well, we can find out about it, we can discover it, we can consider it to be fact or fiction, but how do we handle it from here with the information and knowledge that we have? And that is part of the haphazard universe detail that I like to bring up. In our next essay, we're going to be covering, or I will be covering, once again, what you've brought up in your comments, in the comments section, because that is important to me, what your thoughts are and the directions that we all tend to take each other. So thank you for watching this short and unusual, curious, haphazard video. I'll look forward to coming back again soon and giving you some more enlightening and curious information about how we are and who we are and where we are and why we are. So thanks for coming and playing and showing and sharing and commenting. And talk to you soon.